Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, then hi, hello and welcome. Don't forget to subscribe down below so you never miss when I post a video. If you are not new here, then hi guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me on another video. Anyways, today I come with another story time. Before we go further, let's just make a disclaimer because I know you're all gonna jump down my throat at this and be like, bitch, you've already told us a story, like we don't care, stop repeating yourself. Let me make something clear. I made a story time last year around summertime and it was my witchcraft story of when I was kidnapped by my dad in France. That story I was mainly focusing on the witchcraft side of things, so what happened and what I experienced during living there, but whilst he was making me do witchcraft. I didn't get to properly explain what I went through on the abuse side of things, the everyday living with him and what it was like. I kept a diary when I was there, and my mom has it. She physically has this diary, but she sent me pictures every single page. I'm probably going to insert it just to show you guys a little bit until I'm able to go and get the diary back, just so you guys can see or feel how it was like for me. I lived with my dad from 15 to 16. It was only 5 months because it was literally like not long before my 16th birthday. But yeah, so I thought I would kind of retell the story but in a different light, if that makes sense. So it's the same story but it's not the same story. If you have been watching from the beginning, from the first witchcraft story, when I tell the story it's going to sound very familiar, but there will be added bits in there that I haven't focused on before. I'm not going to speak on witchcraft in this video because I feel like I've spoken on it a lot already. So I'm just going to focus on the story in a different angle so you guys kind of just understand, yeah, just kind of understand the journey that I've been on. I feel like a lot of you are quite interested in, you know, how I was brought up, what I went through and my childhood. And I feel like that's kind of what got me this far on YouTube, and this is what's got me my subscribers, the ones that I've been watching and supporting. I feel like you guys are interested in, you know, hearing about it, so why not give that to you guys if that's something you want to hear or learn about. So yeah, I'm not going to keep on babbling on. Hope you guys enjoy the story of my very fucked up childhood. Hope you guys enjoy the video. So just a little backstory. Mum and dad split when I was about 7 years old. They were in a toxic abusive relationship, and it was just basically me and my sister and my brother and my mum growing up from 7 until now. My dad got back into contact with us when I was about maybe 12 or 13 or something like that, and you know, we visited him like once with my mum and we'd have like phone conversations, etc., and kind of built back a relationship. It was when I was about 15 years old. We already had all built a relationship. Him and my mum had also built a relationship, or like a friendship, co-parenting, whatever, and everything was fine. And he kind of called me one day when I was 15 years old and I just finished secondary school. We had just finished our GCSEs and it was the summer holidays. We're all gonna go off to, you know, college or sixth form after that. He called me during the summer holidays and was just basically like, do you want to come and live with me? And the first thing I said was yes. Didn't even think about it, which is super weird. I literally just said yes. And my mum was like, are you sure? Like blah 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 blah. I guess they had already been speaking about it. For those that are like, why would your mum just let you go? He'd kind of convinced her that education wise the schools are better up there. He's able to get me into a top school in Paris, has all the connections, and he knows the head teacher, and it would be good for me to also improve my French language, and this would only be temporary. My mum basically had agreed because obviously I had agreed also. My mum had basically then said she thinks that I should only go there for the holidays and see how I feel after the holiday. She wasn't gonna agree to me living there right now because she wasn't too sure about it and it was so soon. And I don't feel like she expected me to say yes also. So I went there and my passport was going to expire in about, I think, like a month's time or something. After the summer holidays, my passport was meant to expire. So my mum just said to make sure that I basically, for him to get me a ticket to go back before my passport expires. Got there, he was great, he was fine. After 2 weeks, I kind of started seeing traits in him and habits that he used to show when I was young. Kind of like temper, and you know, he was quite hot-headed and he would like smoke around me and I didn't really like it. He would also get angry over like the tiniest little things. So I kind of just told my mum on the phone discreetly that I want to come back. And yeah, she'd contacted him and told him that, you know, she thinks it's best if like I come back. We would maybe try this the next school year or whatever. He had said that he's not going to return me back and he has just as much right as she does, even though he literally had not been in my life since I was 7 years old and I was now 15. Yeah, so he basically just said he's not returning me back and the passport's going to expire soon, he's not going to renew it and I'm not going back. He also took my phone off me and he basically gave me like his phone. It was like a little a little brick phone, and it only had his number in it. I was only able to contact him. And then I started school there. I started college. It's called like lycée in France. I started there, and I fucking hated it. I didn't like the people there. I just felt like I didn't fit in. I felt like I didn't fit in at all. It was horrible. I ended up loving the college because for me it felt like anything is better than being at home. You know, like now with this whole quarantine thing that's going on, and people are saying like, I feel sorry for the kids that are stuck at home with abusive parents because school was kind of like their getaway. Back when I was 15, school was my getaway from living with my dad. I would honestly, like, I would contemplate every day on doing stuff like breaking my own leg or throw myself down the stairs just so I could like be in a hospital for a while and not be around him. I would literally think about harming myself, and to be 15 and to think like that just because you don't want to be around your parent is crazy, because your parent is meant to be like your safe haven, and that's how I felt with my mum. I felt safe around her. I felt like I could be myself. I felt happy, I felt comfortable, I felt warm inside. With my dad, I just felt like I was living in fear 24/7. I didn't know when he was gonna next lash out. There was this one time when I was brushing my teeth, and you know sometimes when you spit in the sink, you gotta wipe and clean after from like the toothpaste that you've been spitting. Sometimes it even goes on like the mirror. I didn't do that. I went into the bedroom to get changed, and he called me screaming from the bathroom, told me to come here. He was angry because I had spat and not cleaned it, and that I left my clothes hanging on the door and didn't take like my dirty clothes with me. He was literally screaming at me to the point where he was literally spitting in my face, and he said to me, are your eyes are your eyes on your face or is it in your ass? He would scream that. He would be like, are your eyes in your face or on your fucking ass? Like, he would literally like speak to me like that and talk to me like that and just treat me like that. That was like a normal thing, and the whole time I'm just hoping and praying that he doesn't hit me. Yeah, he would basically just react like that over tiny little things, like the fact that I left my clothes in the bathroom. So it's like, could you imagine if I had done something crazy? There was another incident where he was angry about something, like about my mum or something. He picked me up from college in his car, and my baby sister, she was about 1 at the time, she was on my lap. He was angry about my mum, and he said like, you know, he used to call her names and say stuff like, you know, just say stuff to kind of like wind me up about her, just talking horrible on her, and know that it would affect me, but he knows that I can't talk back and say anything. He was so angry, he was speeding, and he literally nearly crashed into other cars so many times, and I'm literally holding up my baby sister on my lap, and I was scared as fuck because I'm like, he's so angry and he's driving like angry and aggressive, and he's literally nearly crashing into other cars, and he's swearing and he's shouting, and he's taking out his argument with my mom on me, and I'm literally scared of what he's gonna do when we get home. So we got to the house and he parked up, and I took out a Coke bottle, like a big Coke bottle that he bought, and I placed it on top of the car whilst I like take my baby sister out, and I shut the car door, and because I shut the car door hard, the Coke bottle dropped on the floor, and there was like a hole at the bottom of the Coke bottle, just like a tiny hole, and the Coke was like spilling out. Coke is like his favorite drink ever, like he literally drinks it every single day. When he saw that there was a hole on it, and I literally, because it was my fault, it was an accident, yeah, he went fucking crazy. He was literally like, you're never seeing your mum again. Like, just because I dropped the Coke bottle on the floor, he was literally screaming at me and threatening that I'm never going to see my mum again just because of that. It was so easy to piss this man off. I was literally living like treading on eggshells. It got to the point where I quickly adapted to the person that he wanted me to be. So I'd wake up really quick before he wakes up and like hoover around the house, because any mess, any sign of anything out of place, and he would literally, like, you would think he's gonna literally beat you up. Like, that's how bad it was. Considering that I went years without a dad, I wasn't used to that male figure, that male voice, the male shouting. I was used to my mum's like soft voice. Like, my mum was the understanding parent. She was an amazing mum, and that's what I was used to. So to not be used to that male figure, to then have him, and then he's just literally screaming at you, like, you're not used to it, do you know what I mean? I quickly adapted. I remember by my college, they were having this kind of like, a protest or something. So all the students, the school was like shut, and all the students were like protesting outside of the school from morning to like when it's time to go home. Really and truly, you're supposed to go home, like there's no school. I wouldn't tell my dad that because I didn't want to be home with him. So I would literally go and sit outside the school gates by myself from morning to end of college, literally just sitting on the concrete floor every single day for 2 weeks because I did not want him to know that the college is shut. Yeah, he never found out that I was doing that, because obviously he would have wanted me home, and the thought of being home for 2 weeks straight, oh my god, I would have literally killed myself. Like, school was literally my getaway, and every time it came to weekends, like, I'd always think of a plan to get out of it. And it was weekends that I would think, like, what should I do? Like, what should I break? Should I throw myself in front of a car? Like, as funny as it sounds now, it was real. Like, it was very, very scary. I really dreaded weekends. There were some days where I literally had to pretend that I started my period just for an excuse to stay in bed, and I had to like exaggerate the pain and act like I can't move, just so I don't have to get up, so I don't have to make a wrong move, so he doesn't have to like scream at me and like literally shout abuse at me, because it's like, I'm in bed, there's nothing that I could be doing wrong if I'm in bed. My little sister that was in France at the time, she doesn't live with him, she lives with her mum. He had a child with somebody else and they separated and lived apart, but on weekends he had her. He never looked after her on those weekends. It was literally me. Like, he forced me to literally be the mum role for her. I was 16 by that time, and I had to wake up with her, bath her, feed her, change her, be with her the whole day. Sometimes he would literally leave and be gone for hours and then come back, and I'm 16, I have no clue how to look after a child, let alone a 1-year-old child. If I did anything wrong, he would go mad. There was one time where he said that I had to make food for her. Didn't know what the fuck he wanted me to do. There was just meat in the fridge, so I cooked the meat. And I guess like the meat was too tough or whatever, and I was serving it out on a plate, and he was just basically like, what, like, he would like, swearing at me was just like a normal thing for him. He was just like, what the fuck is that? Like, this is what you're gonna feed a baby? He took the plate and literally smashed it against the wall, and all the meat went flying everywhere, and he literally done this in front of me and my sister, who's literally 1. It was just like little things like that. It's like, you shouldn't even be telling me to do this. Like, at least tell me what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to cook. You're just saying like, make food for your sister, and that's the only thing in the fridge. I was so confused, like, why I was getting this verbal abuse thrown at me. I haven't done anything wrong, but that was literally my life for 5 months, and I was crying myself to sleep every night, praying every single night for me to please like go back home and be with my mum. I didn't have a passport, so for me, it was never gonna happen. He never let me contact my mum also. The only way that I ever contacted her is because there was a phone box in my college. So every time he gave me lunch money every day, I would use that lunch money to call my mum and speak to her. So I actually had no money to eat. So every day I would literally be starving, just like, that actually gets me really emotional talking about that part, because I literally remember always looking forward to go to college, because I know that I was going to speak to my mum. And just having your dad like not let you speak to your mum is just so horrible. Like, but yeah, I used to use my lunch money to speak to my mum, and she would kind of always make me feel better and say that she's talking to the embassy and she's sorting things out in the UK and she's going to get me back, and she promises me she's going to get me back, and she's going to church all the time, and she's fasting, and she's doing everything that she can. When I told her about, I didn't want to worry her, but when I finally did tell her about the abuse, she was just like, she broke down. And when I spoke to my sister, like, after this whole thing happened, she was like, my mum, one day she walked into my mum literally on the floor, like, breaking down and crying and praying. So one day I was in college, and, you know, my mum, she called me off the little mobile that I had. Obviously, I can't call her from the mobile because I didn't have credit. I literally cannot call the UK, I could just call my dad because he's in France. And she called me off the mobile, and she was just basically like, oh, where are you? Are you still in school? And I was like, yeah, I'm in college, I'm finishing now. And she was like, okay, I'm outside your college. I think that had to be like one of the happiest days of my life. I hadn't seen my own mum in 5 months, and she's telling me she's outside my college. So, you know, came out of the college, met her, saw her there, literally cried, ran up to each other, like hugged each other. It was literally like the best moment ever. And then it dawned on me, it was like a sick feeling. Like, my dad calls me around this time every day after college to make sure that I've got on the right bus to get home. I felt sick, and I said to my mum, like, he's gonna call. She didn't even know what the next step was. She has no home here, we have no passport, we have no house, we don't know anybody here because we was in a different city than our actual family was. So he called, and I wanted to shit myself. I really wanted to shit myself. And she picked up, and she literally said, I remember this word for word, she's with me. And she hung up the phone and she switched off. Oh my god, like from then everything was like a movie scene. It was literally like a movie. Me and my mum, we ended up like, she had to find like not an Airbnb, we had to find, I think it's called B&B, like it's like a shit version of a hotel, to stay the night until the next day so we can go to the embassy. And the whole time that we was in there, I didn't feel safe sleeping. I felt like my dad is gonna break through the window, and in the night I felt like when it's time for us to leave and open the door and get out, he's gonna be standing right there, like he's gonna find us, he's gonna call the B&B phone. Like we both didn't feel safe. We couldn't sleep that night. It was horrible. Like it was literally like, I had nightmares about him that night, of him breaking into the B&B and coming to take me back. It was bloody horrible, man. Next day, we went to the embassy to apply for an emergency passport, just explain everything that happened. And he said to us, you need to come back in about an hour because everyone's on their lunch break at the moment. So we were walking on like a high street, just strolling, walking. And as we were walking up the road, I swear to God, my dad's car was coming down that exact road. My dad's car. What are the fucking chances? And we don't know if he saw us or not, so we run into the game shop that's right there, and my mum is asking the guy like, can she hide behind the counter? The guy didn't let me. He was just like, I don't want to get involved in any domestics, blah blah blah. So I hid behind the game shelf, and my dad comes in, storming in, screaming, saying like, why are you hiding from me, Sarah? Like he could literally see me. He was like, why are you hiding, acting like you're scared of me? Really? Of course I'm scared of you. Like, have you forgotten everything that's happened these past 5 months? Like, am I dreaming? Long story short, like I got the passport, the emergency passport. The police came and they let me go with my mum, because she was like, you know, she explained everything that happened and said that my passport had expired. And I basically backed her story, and I was like, yep, it's true. Like I live with my mum. He was holding me here against my will. You know, they accompanied me to my dad's house, got my passport, got my clothes, got my emergency passport cut. And I remember me and my mum were both from the Eurostar back to London. And yeah, that's my journey and that's what happened. And I felt like I would retell this story. I know some of you are thinking like, you've already told us this story. Like literally you've told us this story. The witchcraft stuff was really bad and made me want to come home, but there was also another aspect to it that made me want to come home. Like it was horrible just in all bloody angles that you can look at it, honestly. But yeah, I hope that gives you guys more of an insight. I didn't want to retell a story twice, but I just wanted to give another side of the story that I didn't really focus on that much. I don't even remember everything that I said in that video. I don't know how much I went into what it was like living with him, or if I just focused on witchcraft. I don't fully remember. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So many of you guys commented and said that you guys love my story times, and yeah, I would love to come back with more story times. Some of them may not be family related, some of them may be personal or friends or whatever, but I would definitely be doing more story times, especially now that we're in quarantine, because like I said in the last video, I have nothing better to do and neither do you. Anyways, I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye guys.